The term social CRM is getting a lot of buzz these days. Vendors are clamoring to add it to their platforms, and companies are hungry to incorporate it into their customer strategies. We're here with 3 experts to get their insights on the topic. Bill Band, Vice President and Principal Analyst at Forrester Research, Brent Leary, co-founder of CRM Essentials, and Paul Greenberg, author of CRM at the Speed of Light, are here today to share their thoughts on the concept of social CRM.
Bill, let's start with you. A number of people seem to be using the term social CRM and social media interchangeably. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't see them as the same thing. To me, social media are the tools and the technologies that have emerged that help people interact and collaborate with each other, but they're not a social CRM, which I see as a broader idea, which is how are we going to manage our relationships with customers, taking into account their new social behaviors. But I'll defer to Paul as to what his perspective is on that.
Social media are tools, and that's pretty much what they are, tools and channels that people are using pretty much to correspond with, for the most part, their peers, but now peers and, say, businesses and companies. And again, they're tools primarily. Social CRM is much more encompassing. It actually looks at the strategies, and it looks at the cultures and the philosophical outlooks and the social interactions, and it looks at the emotional content of the interactions between customers and companies, and of course it does what traditional CRM does too, which is it captures data and it begins to slice and dice it, analyze it, and provide some capacity for customer insight. So social CRM is actually an extension and evolution of CRM itself, and looks at it from the standpoint of the broader philosophy, strategies, outlooks, and capabilities that people need to utilize to actually benefit both themselves and their customers, and the analytics and the like.
And Brent, what are your thoughts on the idea?
Yeah, I see a lot of people throwing those terms around and sort of using them interchangeably, but I agree with Paul and Bill. Matter of fact, some people still sort of say social networks and social media are the same thing. They're really not. Social media is sort of like what we talk about in like a video or a book, and maybe a development in the industry, and then we talk about it, and we use comments, and we share information, and we typically do those kinds of activities on a social network like LinkedIn or Facebook. And social CRM is really something different. It's how do we integrate these tools and technologies and strategies into a process where we actually are having the right kind of conversations with the right people and building on those conversations to create real meaningful relationships, be it a customer or a vendor or a partner. But it's really adding a new dimension to the traditional CRM processes, because we have these things called the social customer, and they have these great tools for communicating, and they want to use those tools, and they want the companies that they work with or buy things from to use those tools to communicate with them.
A lot of companies, software companies that have been traditional CRM tools, are trying to incorporate the social aspect into the actual platform. So maybe Bill, can you talk about maybe what you're seeing, and maybe what's good and what's bad, and what companies need to think about from a technical point of view?
The vendors, the software vendors who support customer-facing processes, are having to respond to their customers in providing additional capabilities to help their customers interact with their consumers. So there's this chain reaction going on. So the vendors are waking up, and they are implementing or incorporating social capabilities, Web 2.0 capabilities, however you want to define them, into their platforms. And it doesn't seem to be very hard. There's not expensive. There's not a lot of technical barriers to doing that. Most of the modern traditional CRM platforms are very web-based or web-centric and services-centric. So the big challenge is still figuring out what are the use cases where these new additional capabilities can actually add value for the user company, and that's still very much in an experimental stage. certainly it's easy to monitor now social conversations and bring that data more into transactional CRM systems to a certain extent. But then the question is, what do you do with it? How does that help the company make better decisions or take different actions?
Now, Brent, do you have any thoughts on the concept as well?
I think there's a couple of different ways that we can look at this. The more established companies and then the bigger companies that already have big customer numbers. So they're looking at social CRM from a perspective of how do we keep, as long as possible, keep the good customers we have happy, and how do we better communicate with them so that we can understand what's going on and to be able to service them better. But then you have these smaller companies and the entrepreneurs, the startups, who are really looking to social CRM to get new customers, to build new relationships. And so you're seeing vendors like Bantam Live and Batchbook and a whole host of other smaller, more nimble companies that are creating social CRM kind of applications, at least some functionality, that is speaking to those kind of companies that are really looking to use social media and integrate it into a CRM strategy to create new relationships with customers.
And Paul, what are you seeing as social CRM starts to become more part of a platform?
One of the things that has to be looked at, especially when it comes to the technology companies, is their claim of being social CRM, because right now we've just gotten past what the definition of social CRM is, at least as far as I'm concerned, and we're starting to look at the how, what to do with it, and what kind of stuff has to be done. But there's been a lot of companies that have claimed we are social CRM, and Lithium is one of them, and Lithium has done it from the standpoint of the way they've integrated, as Bill pointed out, with Right Now, and Radian 6 is another one which comes from a different standpoint. It's social media monitoring, and it's integrated with Salesforce and will be integrated with others. You have Neighbor America, which is a social networking platform that is integrated with Microsoft CRM, Microsoft Dynamics CRM in the public sector, on that side of things. So in other words, you have the social companies, regardless of whether they build communities or monitor social media, integrating with traditional CRM or CRM specific companies and platforms. Then you have you have the more traditional, larger, and well-established CRM companies calling what they do social CRM. So, of course, Oracle calls what it does is social CRM, which is, with their products like Sales Prospector and Sales Library and Sales Campaign, which is actually not truly social CRM because they're not customer engagement technologies. What they are Enterprise 2.0, meaning that they internally improve sales effectiveness so that when you go and you bid on an opportunity or you're doing something along that lines, your odds of winning are better, and you've done a better job and a more effective job utilizing the social kind of components that are internal to a company, other employees and wikis and other kind of capabilities that are there, and comments and rankings and so on of, say, PowerPoint presentations and the like. So that's not truly social CRM. It's more sales effectiveness or Enterprise 2.0 kind of applications, but, they're called social CRM. And that said, companies like Oracle and SAP are working on things that do much more collaborative engagement with customers, too. And then there's a third category, which is kind of, it's almost like it bled into this, which is you start looking at companies like Jigsaw, who have the Open Data Initiative and are integrating massive amounts of data which is socially accumulated and socially deduplicated almost to a certain degree, with the way, in other words, their business model is actually one that is related to social CRM in a fundamental sense, and then they integrate with all the CRM products and such as Salesforce or Sugar CRM or Microsoft Dynamics CRM. So you have this whole array of kind of in-between companies also who are making claims around social CRM. And while all of them have perfect right to market that way and whatever they want to do, the real key has been, as both Bill and Brent pointed out, the integration of the more traditional CRM kind of operational stuff with the more social applications around community building and social media. And that's where we're starting to see the actual technology in social CRM. The one place I will say this, that Salesforce is actually making a lot of progress from building their own too. I mean, with Visual Force and Idea Force and all the other things that they've now built into the Force.com platform. So
there's companies that are doing some of the same things, but they're not even calling themselves social CRM. A company like HubSpot, who is creating a really interesting platform for the SMB crowd that is integrating a whole lot of these kinds of things, like some social media monitoring into analytics and integration with Salesforce. They don't even call themselves social CRM. They call themselves inbound marketing, but they have as much right to do it as anybody else if they chose to.
Next time, Bill, Brent, and Paul discuss the future of social CRM, as well as how companies can avoid CRM's mistakes of the past when implementing social CRM into their business. I'm Liz Glagowski. Thanks for joining us today.